So I'm excited to have Jim Damian, who's the Chief Economic Development Officer for Kern County. Jim, and that he really, you know, what we're going to talk about today, you can chat GPT it, or you can listen to these folks. So without further ado, Jim Damian.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you all for being here. And thank about 75% of you for sitting and being engaged. No, that's a joke. Hey, as we get started, how about another round of applause for the hardworking men and women from the Marriott taking good care of us today. You know, as we talk about all this fantastic energy that's being produced in Kern County, that's the kind of energy we can't afford to take our eye off of. We can't afford to overlook human energy. That's the energy that creates and helps our industry thrive. Human energy is what drives us forward. And I appreciate you all being here with your energy and passion today. As Richard mentioned, my name is Jim Damian. I'm the Chief Economic Development Officer for the County of Kern. I'm excited to be part of the county team, although I've spent most of my career in the world of technology entrepreneurship. I was particularly excited to moderate today's panel on artificial intelligence in the energy sector. For this panel, we brought together colleagues who are truly at the cutting edge of AI. We think this panel is important for a couple reasons. One, we think it's critical that our industry and that our region learn how to use this new technology, but we've got to figure out even how to talk about it as a region and as an industry. So that's why we wanted to do this today. AI is exciting, right? How many people have heard of AI? How many people are sick of it already? Like, it is everywhere all the time already. I knew it was overwhelmed for me when I bought a Tovala toaster oven, and it said AI enabled, a toaster oven. And I was just kind of like, okay, do we really need AI to make toast? And apparently we do. It's just everywhere all the time. AI can transform how we do our work. It can transform how we use data, how we predict, demand, and optimize grid performance, maybe how to make toast a little better too. But today's lineup of panelists, they're going to spend about 5 to 7 minutes talking about their use of artificial intelligence in their role. Each person's going to have about 5 minutes to talk about how they're using AI, and then we're going to open it up to questions from the audience. So without further ado, our first panelist, super interesting project going on, very innovative leader. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Mr. Bill Carpenter, who is the project manager for solar construction innovation at AES Corporation. Bill.
I appreciate it, Jim. So as mentioned, I'm Bill Carpenter. I'm the secret Maximo robot, and the competition just came short at the end there, but I appreciate the competition. So we all know the world's in the midst of a massive energy transformation. You know, solar has become the world's most economically viable solution, and AES is dedicated to really focusing on accelerating that. We really need to jump ahead of this problem and address it with clean energy. One of the main sources of that is data centers, and actually AI is causing a major spike in demand, really in reinforcing that need to accelerate. Where we as AES come in, we develop projects, and our project timelines are really what we need to focus on reducing. In order to do that, we need to look at the panels. Just the sheer quantity of how many panels are on each site. Belfield, our Belfield 1 project, it's in Kern County. Belfield 2 in Kern County. Each one, over 1 million panels each. So just thinking about the sheer magnitude of that, let me put that in perspective. How many of you all lifted 75 pounds this morning? Okay, we got a couple, maybe 65? 50? Okay, let's pretend we all lifted 75 pounds this morning. You know, probably a good workout. Move on with your day. Our workers are doing that all day, every week, every month. A lot of our projects go for years, and that consistent wear on your body really impacts people over time, and we've seen the panels get bigger and bigger, increasing the weight of what's going on our workforce. Maximo is focused on addressing that. We're looking at lifting more efficiently, looking at reducing the struggle and energy it takes to install with solar, and improve our safety, quality, and the speed of our projects. So let's talk about how we got started. So 5 years ago, we started to think how we saw this wave coming, and we needed to rethink fundamentally how we install our projects. Not only demand, but the panels were getting much larger. We worked in the beginning to implement industrial robotics and try to start taking that weight off the shoulders of our workforce and put it in the hands of a click of a button. We started with some basic factory technology, brought it into a field. Those conditions changed drastically. You know, we're in a desert setting, we're in a oceanside setting. They're all completely different projects and have all sorts of different environmental factors. So you can see in the picture on the left, when we first started, we were getting a lot of glare. The sunlight, obviously, very sunny sites, were giving us incompatible data. Our system was trying to capture the pictures and process the information, wasn't able to do that. AI, while sometimes it can be used for goofy pictures on the internet, we actually were able to reanalyze and enhance the pictures we got to fill that picture and finish what we need for our system to operate properly. Solving that problem addresses the needs of the 21st century. We're able to go fast. We're not tripped up by ourselves. AI helps sort of smooth out the process and fix those issues so that we can give our workforce a break. AI is solving the process in many ways, more than just what we're focused on. Maximo, as a piece of equipment for the field, is lifting the weight off of people's shoulders. But as we got into the field, we started to see what other applications and uses of AI can help sort of make jobs simpler, really focus on improving the work experience, and then training more people. We've been able to leverage a ton of more data, collecting more information as we go, looking at preventative maintenance, both for the systems that we run, our robots, but then also on our projects that are going to be in Kern County for the next 30 to 50 years. With that, I'll turn it over. I just want to say thank you all for the opportunity to speak on the panel. AES is laser focused on applying AI in practical ways that help give tools to our workforce and build the simplicity that we can have in our jobs without displacing those jobs. There should be a video. Briefly would like to play just so you guys can see what I'm working on.
It will take billions of solar panels to meet the growing demand for clean energy. AES is making scale like that a reality. Introducing Maximo, our new AI-enabled solar robot. Max is delivering cost-effective clean energy to our customers on accelerated timelines. What was once strenuous is now faster, safer, smarter. Max's powerful features supercharge solar construction teams to make this possible. High-speed robotic arms do the heavy lifting and precise installation, while intelligent sensing technology keeps crews protected. Computer vision powered by generative AI delivers exact panel placement. And a mobile microgrid gives Max the endurance to run carbon-free for extended shifts. At the heart of Max, an advanced GPU empowers it to learn and adapt while meticulously tracking construction progress. Solar energy is changing the world. Maximo is changing the world of solar.
All right, thank you everyone. Appreciate your time being on the panel and continuing to innovate in Kern County.
Oh yeah, AI-powered robots out in the solar field in Kern County. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be manufacturing a fleet of these things for AES in partnership with them. And thank you, Bill, that was fantastic. Next up, we're gonna hear from someone that most of us know and everyone loves, Mr. Corey Costelloe, who is the Assistant City Manager for Tehachapi. Corey.
Thank you, Jim, appreciate it. I'm gonna use this mic because I like to roam. Podiums are for politicians, so It's not my thing. First of all, we have several technologies in the city of Tehachapi that we're utilizing for AI. One of those is Placer AI. This is really centered around economic development, tourism, visitation, but we got some other uses for it as well. There's a lot of developers in the room, I'm sure, and recently I was at a conference, and this statement was made that artificial intelligence is to cognitive function what machines were to the Industrial Revolution. Think about that for a second. It's going to make us more efficient. And I know you're thinking, no, government efficiency, that doesn't exist. It absolutely does, and we're working on it in the city of Tehachapi. So I wanted to share a couple uses we've had recently with AI. So if you're a developer in the audience, you apply for a project, and then you get that sort of conditions of approval, right? How much is this going to cost me? So this map right here is a heat map. We use Placer AI, and what they are is everybody has one of those wonderful tracking devices, cell phones in your pocket. And so they are able to take that data. They have a sample size. They throw it into all the data sets available, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, and they spit out what is basically a population estimate. It's got demographics. It knows where your phone lives. It knows where your phone works based on the amount of time it spends there. So this was the Tehachapi Junction Shopping Center. And in this shopping center, we had an issue. So the building above the dirt lot is a Starbucks. And the dirt lot you see was where Chipotle wanted to build. But we knew as the Starbucks exits, the Chipotle Quick Lane Express, or the Chipotle Lane as they call it, would start. We were going to have a pinch point. So we sat down with this, and I said, I bet Placer can do it, and they do. So what I did is I created this heat map, and it shows where the pinch points were. And part of the problem was we had a trash enclosure that was creating that sort of pinch point. It wasn't very wide. So we conditioned Chipotle. We asked them, look, we need you to move this trash enclosure, make the parking a little wider right here. We're going to get rid of this pinch point. And so it was easier to go to them and say, this is why we need it. We had proof to show them it wasn't just something we wanted because we think it would look pretty. This was something that was going to benefit their business as well, because if their quick lane wasn't quick, the Chipotle lane wasn't fast, people weren't going to go. And so this is what about 2022 before they applied. So they've been open for about 18 months, 2 years now. This is the heat map from just earlier this month. So you can see when they move the trash enclosure, we're able to widen the lane. The building is there. They're using their Chipotle lane. And guess what? Now the pinch point is where? It's at the Starbucks order kiosk where it should be. So we were able to really free up a lot of space in that shopping center and get that project running and get it successful as well. Another way we're using it is what they call a void analysis. Whether it's a shopping center vacancy, whether it is a piece of dirt, I can drop a pin and they can say, well, based on the people either within a certain drive circle or based on the audience of a business across the street, Panda Express, Chipotle, for example. This is a report for a piece of dirt. It's a power intersection. It's been off and on in terms of potential development in the last several years. So what's going to fit there? They're going to put some QSR pads. What would fit best? I can drop a pin. They can run this void analysis. And as you can see, it might be tough to see, but Chick-fil-A is a 100% fit score. And what they do is they take a variety of different data sets, demographics, and they say, what is going to fit here? What's the similarity score to all these different data sets? And they spit out. And what I did here is I also filtered out a lot of other businesses knowing, hey, they're looking for a couple fast food pads. So I just put it down to quick serve restaurants or QSR, and they're able to spit out this data for me to let me know what fits. And some other details around it show, you can see that purple or blue is the city of Tehachapi, or the demographics of that spot, and then there's what Chick-fil-A does across the country. So obviously, we're not as dense as they usually like. We've got a few things that don't go for us in terms of population, but hey, similarity, look at the income levels. When it comes to that higher level income, which is more money to spend, we're outpacing Chick-fil-A, and a few other of the demographics are there as well. So you can see that sometimes you can argue, even if you're not as dense as what people want, we can say, look, yeah, but check that out. We're going to have more money to spend. Our cart size, our order size is going to be bigger. You're going to make just as much revenue with fewer people. One other example was recent. This actually applies to the renewable energy sector. One of the very first candidate forums for the I don't know, 15 people running for District 2 supervisor. It was said by one of the candidates, a frankly ignorant statement that said, renewable energy out here in East Kern, that's not really an economic impact. They build it, and then they hire a couple security guards, and they leave. Couldn't be further from the truth, right? Made a couple phone calls on my end to some energy partners and said, hey, how many people are coming in a month, visiting your turbines? And I got a number, 20 or so. Everybody kind of had that same average. Well, they're all staying in Tehachapi. They're eating there. They're spending money. The economic impact, that money's being passed around the economy. And so I was able to run a report from domestic business travelers through our hotels. This is just one hotel, and I've circled, I know it's tough to see, sorry, but I circled a couple spots where our friends at AES, since they're on the panel, Grantsville, Utah, Salem, Virginia. Now, we get tourism at Tehachapi, but we're not having people from the East Coast flying over, so they're coming for a reason. So knowing they were domestic business travelers, that's near 2 of AES's major projects and some of their corporate hubs. So that was a very important slide to point out. And then we can generate from there how much money is being spent. We can figure out the impact of those projects in the area. So this is one of the many tools we're using. We have cameras on our street sweepers to scan the streets to see if a striping is coming apart, if a sign is missing, if there's a pothole. It runs an after-action report, and then work orders are created to fix those things. The police department, like many of your police departments, are using the flock camera technology. Takes pictures of cars going through intersections. When someone's looking for a white sedan with a bumper sticker, it'll run a report of white sedans with a bumper sticker so they can maybe follow up on that lead. And then also, we've got things like speed trailers. They're not recording, but what they're doing is they're analyzing the speed of people coming through. So when a resident says, I swear they're going 55 on my residential street, put the speed trailer out, it goes for 24 hours and spits out, actually the average speed is 35 miles an hour. So not necessarily a huge problem. But it's something we can do and combat with AI. You can use it for offense or defense, and it's a very important tool. So I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. So we've heard a little bit about AES's Maximo, the AI-powered robot. We heard how the city of Tehachapi is using artificial intelligence to recruit and expand economic vitality. Next up from the county of Kern is Brigiett Guzman, who's going to talk about how the county is using artificial intelligence to inform policymakers about economic vitality. Ms. Brigiett Guzman.
Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Brigiett Guzman, and I'm an Economic Development Analyst for the County Administrative Office. At the county, we value data and evidence to inform our policy decisions and to understand the current state of our economy. And given the volume of daily activities and the influx of information that we handle on a day-to-day basis, we understood that we needed a feasible mechanism to track this performance, as shown by our presentation images. So given the influx of information and the feasible mechanism that we needed, which is why we created the Economic Development Dashboard. This dashboard is important because it serves as a consolidated source for policymakers to easily access KPI data aligned with the county's top economic development priorities, such as business growth and sustainability, employment trends and growth, investments, and permitting activity. This allows us to assess whether we're getting worse, getting better, or staying the same economically or in certain economic areas. This interactive tool is designed to promote transparency in our initiatives and help foster a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive economy. We leverage AI platforms such as Placer.ai, as mentioned by my colleague, but also other platforms such as JobsEQ to obtain some of the data from this dashboard. Because collecting, synthesizing, and projecting the data is a time-consuming labor, and we rather invest our time, energy, and resources into assessing what the data is telling us rather than spending so much time on the actual data collection piece. Kern County's use of AI to understand the energy economy is embedded in the key performance indicator data generated for our dashboard and the economic impact analysis generated for our daily activities. These platforms help the county analyze current energy economy by gaining insight into industry trends, workforce trends, and market conditions. Now, a little bit on our current usage of AI. In leveraging AI platforms, we really want to emphasize that we use them to inform our decision-making, not rely on the automated outputs from these platforms to make the decision for us. We want to leverage these tools as resources to help inform and make the best decisions possible. Placer AI, as explained by my colleague, is a location intelligence and foot traffic software, versus JobsEQ is a labor, market, and economic analysis AI platform that delivers insight into regional economic performance. Both platforms leverage various government, public, private, and nonprofit data sources, advanced analytics, and statistical monitoring to generate its outputs. So some of the features that we use these platforms are specifically for business intelligence, overall monthly economic overview reports, and understanding industry trends, as well as forecasting. We use business intelligence AI features to generate monthly reports such as the number of businesses opening and closing in Kern County, in our incorporated communities and unincorporated communities. And even though the business intelligence features are geared more towards retail businesses, they still provide us information in the energy sector for retail energy providers, such as gas stations, utility payment centers, and electric vehicle charging stations. Now, regarding the monthly economic overview report, the JobsEQ platform specifically allows us to generate an overview report that offers a data-driven snapshot of the economy in terms of demographics, monthly employment trends, wage trends, cost of living indexes, industry trends, gross domestic product contributions, and other critical statistics. Now, regarding industry trends, we can also generate custom AI reports geared towards specific industry trends, forecasts, and workforce analytics. We can take a deep dive into occupation trends, job vacancies and projections, talent availability, skill gaps, wage trends, workforce demographics, and other comparative analytics. That is where we're using where we're using artificial intelligence currently, but we have future aspirations to really maximize the use of these platforms and procure other platforms as well. As we advance in strategizing and implementing best practice to foster a more robust economy, our goal is not only to leverage existing tools, but also explore new platforms that address complex economic development challenges. And through these efforts, we aim to make informed decisions in areas such as policy impact forecasting, business attraction and retention, economic impact assessment for major development projects, and overall process improvement. In conclusion, AI platforms offer an abundance of valuable insights, and by strategically deploying these tools, the county is committed to making responsible and equitable decisions that will drive economic growth and development for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigiett. Fascinating to hear how the county is using AI in that dashboard. We're going to have one other speaker, and then if you've got a couple questions, we might have time for a few audience questions. But it's my privilege to introduce to you Kevin Torbert. Kevin is the Director of Analytics for Cornerstone Engineering. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he and the team at Cornerstone are up to. Mr. Torbert.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin Torbert, and like Jim said, I lead the Analytics and Digital Solutions team at Cornerstone Engineering. And today I'm going to talk to you about a solution that my team built for land developers. I got to click on. So specifically, this solution was designed to automatically identify risk and opportunity in all proposed state legislation with the intent of identifying those that should be acted upon. The goal was to provide leadership teams and decision makers with a tool set that they could use to anticipate and plan for the future. So all the solutions that my team builds are done so in close collaboration with Cornerstone's in-house subject matter experts. So I'm working very closely with land development experts, regulatory and permitting experts, new energy experts, Idaho management experts, and others. And with that, there's actually quite a bit going on under the hood to ensure that the AI model is producing accurate and valuable insights. So over the next couple of slides, I'm going to dive into a bit on first how the model is actually analyzing data, and then I'm going to review some sample output. So the first thing I did was break down the broad term land development into 4 broad categories, and you see this illustrated on the top right-hand side of your screen, and then those 4 broad categories into 4 additional subcategories. And this gave me 16 total land use subtypes by which I analyze those bills. So those are the lenses through which I analyze each state bill. And when I analyze a state bill, I'm generating 3 sets of data. The first is a risk score. So is this a low, medium, high, or critical level risk? The next is a time frame. So is this risk going to impact in the short term, the medium term, or the long term? And the third data set is a detailed bill analysis, and I'll show you an example of that on the next slide. The next thing was the input. So the input of this process was all bills from the 2023-2024 session, and there were well over 6,000. And on average, each one of those bills had 4 to 5 different versions, which led to there being over 25,000 different bill versions to analyze. And because I analyzed each one of those 25,000 bill versions 16 times, one for each one of the land use subtypes, this solution ended up processing over 400,000 documents, which is a lot of data. And this is actually another value add of a solution like this, because there is no individual or team of individuals who's going to consume and analyze this much content in a timely or cost-effective manner. But a solution like this can do it in a few hours. So the results were that of those 6,000 bills, 389 of them were identified to be impactful to land development. And of those 389, only one was identified as a critical risk. And that one that was identified as a critical risk did come from the land use subtype mining and extraction, which is the land use subtype that represents oil and gas. And when you see which bill it is, you won't be surprised which one the AI model defined as a critical risk. So this is a portion of the detailed output provided by the AI model. And I say a portion because I can only fit so much on a slide. This is for AB 3155, which is a bill that's since been defeated. But it was the second attempt at defining the financial liability around the 3,200-foot offset rule. So I've been thinking a lot about how to talk about this slide, and I keep coming back to building trust in a large language, or just a machine learning model in general. And I say that for a specific reason. I spent a lot of time building solutions like this for organizations like yours. And one of the biggest challenges that I've run into is building trust in the output of a machine learning model. So we'd build something and we'd deploy it to our end users, and my end users were typically engineers and geologists, and they'd use it for a minute, and then they'd come back to us and ask, hey, why is your model producing the output that it's producing? And usually we did not have a good answer for that question, and that's because the models that we were producing were essentially black boxes. They're really good at generating a data set, but they're not really good at explaining why it gave you a particular answer. So I've been thinking a lot about how to mitigate that and build trust into the AI model, or the output of the AI model. And I'm doing that in a few ways. The first is by building in a justification system. So you see 2 very simple examples on this screen. And I want to point out that this is a very simple example. I'm building this into all of my solutions now. And some of those justification systems, or the answers for the justification section, can be quite complex and thorough, and this is a simple example. So if I were to give this data set to my end users, and they're flipping through the 389 bills that were identified as being impactful to land development, and they come across this one, which is the one that was defined as a critical risk, and they ask that question, hey, why did your model produce this output? Now I have a good answer for why that model produced this output that was generated by the model itself. And I have confidence in this model output because I also work very closely with subject matter experts. And my subject matter expert in this domain is Christine Halley. And a lot of you know Christine, but if you don't, Christine Halley runs the regulatory and permitting group at Cornerstone Engineering, and she is my subject matter expert in this domain. So one of the things that she's responsible for is vetting all of the output that my models generate before that data makes its way into the hands of our clients or in a slide for a presentation like this. So last week, Christine and I got together to review the content of this slide, and she read through it line by line, and the only feedback that I got was, can I add something? And I very quickly stopped her for a completely selfish reason, because I wanted to maintain that 100% AI-generated label at the top of this slide. But just so everybody's clear, according to my subject matter expert, Christine Halley, everything on this slide is valid, but it is missing something. And that's it. That's it.
Well, you've heard 4 really interesting use cases about artificial intelligence in our region and in the energy sector. We've got time for a couple questions. If somebody has a question for one of our panelists, I'd love for you to raise your hand. We have some microphones going around, and we can ask a question or two. I guess why people are thinking, if we've got any hands coming up, don't be shy. You do not be shy. Somebody's got some kind of question. What does AI stand for? No. Okay, we have a question right back here. We have a question right back here. The microphone's coming to you, and we will see what the question is.
Hi, just to the last presenter. So the piece of information that was missing, was there any worry that it was of a critical nature?
That's a really good question.
Can you hear me? That's a really good question because I've been thinking about that for a week. Christine hasn't told me what's missing either. So now I'm quite curious.
Well, there you go. We have another question here. Next year at the conference, we will tell you what the missing piece was, and you will come back for that. But yes, go ahead, Hillary.
When it comes to your clients and the security of their data, have they expressed any concerns around, AI looking at their data, potentially, owning their data or the security there?
Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody in this room needs to think about. Do you trust sending your data to these closed source models? But there are alternatives. So there are open source models that you can deploy in your cloud environment or even in your on-premise location. So there's ways of handling the data privacy concerns and still getting these kind of quality results.
And one other thing on that too, just from, for example, the platform like Placer, it knows where the census tract in which it lives. It's not like we don't have access to, there's privacy settings over the top, there's privacy settings around medical facilities and schools, and so there is some security over the data, and it goes back to the census tract sort of generically as opposed to this phone at this home address.
Great. Do we have any other questions for any of our panelists? Oh, yes, here we go.
Is it on? Okay.
There you go, Mr.
Yeah,
Howard.
this is just a comment to somebody's question. And Kevin can speak to this in more detail, but we do a lot of this work that Kevin's talking about at Cornerstone. By the way, I'm with Cornerstone. And we do a lot of work for schools and a lot of work for hospitals. So we do deal with that privacy thing, and we've been able to do it very successfully. So just Kevin can expand.
Yeah, and yeah, he mentioned the hospitals. What's on my mind a lot is the HIPAA issues right now. So yeah, we deal with that on a daily basis. All of it's solvable.
As we're teeing up, if you have a question, raise your hand. But I've got one for you, Bill. As you think, you've showed us an awesome video, and we know Maximo's using image recognition. I know you can't give away all the secret sauce for what comes next, but give us a thumbnail sketch of the future, the enhancements, the kinds of things we might see in a platform like Maximo. And then if you've got a question out there, raise your hand, because after Bill answers my question, we got room for just one more, and that'll be the final one. But go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, great, Jim. So we're focused on solutions that were easiest to automate in terms of the field. So there's a large amount of different components, solar panel manufacturers. We're working to expand across all of those in a very robust way. So we're seeing the future. We're focused on the U.S. market, but we see the global opportunity to really make workforce improvements across the world and being able to leverage Maximo and AI across the whole space.
I love it. Thank you, Bill. And I know we have one other question here, so please go ahead.
Yes, a question for Cornerstone. Can you describe how you can guarantee the accuracy of the data, please?
Well, I kind of went over that in the slide. So the first thing I'm doing is building expertise into the model. And one of the things that is new to a lot of people is just how smart these new models are getting, like science fiction level smart. I don't think a lot of people are ready for what's coming. So I trust the model input maybe more than the average person, but then I'm also working, like I said, very closely with subject matter experts to build in their expertise into these pipelines. This isn't something simple like, hey, GPT, what do you think of this particular state bill? There's a fairly complex data pipeline that is the foundation to all of this, where we're doing our best to reduce the hallucination that the model is providing or producing. Does that answer the question?
So just to sum it up, we've got brand new technology. Some of the tools that the panelists are talking about came out this month. So it's new territory for our region, for our industry. for our panelists. Thank you all for indulging us all to talk about this very important topic today. And please join me in thanking our 4 panelists. That concludes the panel presentation.